Well, that song certainly took quite a few twists and turns. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly, and in this video I'm going to be listening to the Untitled album from the band Korn. Now this is Korn's 8th studio album, and it is the next one in my lineup in my little Korn album reaction series that I've been doing here on my channel. The last of their albums that I heard was their 7th studio album, See You on the Other Side. It definitely went in a bit of an odd direction for them as a band. I'm not 100% sure on how I feel about that album, if I'm being completely honest, but I'm very curious now to hear this 8th studio album of theirs, the Untitled album, and just see what craziness Korn is going to bring to this one, and if they're going to take their sound in yet another direction. Alright, so starting off the Untitled album from Korn, we have the first track, which is just called Intro. It's kind of got like this carnival, like fairground theme to its sound almost. Like I think that's an accordion I'm hearing, and then all this weird electronic stuff they're introducing too. Alright, and then it's definitely building up in intensity. Alright, well that was the first track, just called Intro, and I guess it was kind of like an introduction to this album. Definitely a lot of interesting sounds going on with that one. It had this, like I said, fairground kind of carnival sound to it with the accordion and the piano that they introduced, but there was a lot of weirdness going on too. And then I think it was Jonathan Davis's voice coming in at the end as kind of like this echoey sounding scream. Yeah, certainly an interesting start to this album, but I'm going to move on to track 2 now, which is called Starting Over. The percussion is really standing out on this one for me. How it started off with all of those cymbals, they were very prominent.
Crawling on the floor, all around the space. It's starting over.
Yeah, do you notice that percussion? It has a really interesting sound to it, almost like a hollowness. Yeah, there's definitely some very surprising sounds going on with this track. Like that almost sounds a little bit like a piano, but again, it's got this electronicness to it. And now you've got these really echoey second set of vocals going on too. Well, that was track 2, Starting Over. That was a really fascinating one to listen to, actually. There was a certain lightness to it that Korn definitely seems to be embracing throughout their album progression. Like, you compare that song to their debut album, and their debut just had this really dense rawness to it, like so much heaviness. So I'm going to move on to track 3, which is called Bitch, We Got a Problem.
For every person I've tried to be, I love you so much. I'm never there. I'm always with you. We got a problem, it's plain to see. Which one of you is into me? Which one?
Okay, they're doing that echoiness again on this one. I love that piano, I've got to say. As on the fence as I am so far about this song, whenever that piano comes in, I just really enjoy it. I kind of like how the lyrics are, which one of you is into me, which one of me is into you, referring to almost like multiple personalities coming out between two people. And there's all of these different vocals going on. It's almost like you're in his head and you're getting a glimpse into all of these different voices going on in his mind. Was he really just saying blah, 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 blah there at the very end? I think that's what I was hearing. But that was track 3, Bitch We Got a Problem. That one definitely was a little bit punchier than the second track starting over, and they're really embracing that whole echoey, atmospheric quality combined with a more poppy side to their sound that I've definitely noticed on their previous couple of albums, especially See You on the Other Side. I was noticing that. But instrumentally, that was a really fun one. I loved that piano, and again, the percussion was standing out to me too. Alright, up next is track 4, which is called Evolution.
I'm digging with my fingertips. I'm gripping at the ground I stand upon.
Almost has a bit of a dubstep sound to it at the start.
It's evolution. And I do not dare deny.
Yeah, those like warped kind of electronic sounds, like the beat going on. It just has this dubstep sound to it.
And the planet may go astray. The basic beast inside. It's right here, it's controlling my mind.
Like even this part where he's screaming the vocals, it just has a soft quality to it. I'm picking up on those cymbals yet again with the percussion. That was track 4, Evolution. Definitely a very smoothed, polished sound to that one. And I'm not sure exactly what it is, if it's the more electronic nature of their music or just that echoiness that they're doing, but even though at times this album is bringing a lot of energy to it, it's just retaining this soft quality to it. It never sounds really harsh and raw to me, like when I'm listening to it. It's weird. But moving on to track 5, we have Hold On. I think his vocals have a little bit of a heavier quality on this track, like just a little bit.
New arrival, a survival, still not certain.
I like that occasional injection of piano that they're throwing on this album.
Eating us alive. Don't ever let me go, no. Don't ever let me go, no.
That part right there was kind of reminiscent of 9 Inch Nails to me a little bit. Like some weird industrial electronic sounds going on. That was track 5, Hold On. I actually did enjoy that one. It had a little bit more of a heaviness to it, I think, with his vocal delivery that I was picking up on. And again, super fun sounds with that one. I loved the like slightly industrial sound to it, but then they had that random piano that they would throw on from time to time, and just a lot of fun sounds going on. But moving on to track 6, we have Kiss.
Some deny and search for things.
Okay, this one's significantly slowed down here, at least at the start.
What do I have to do? Why you always push me away? The last thing I would like.
It's so weird. The percussion on this track is vaguely reminding me of the song Machine Gun by Portishead. I'm just noticing a slight similarity there.
Why can't this kiss be true? Why won't you please?
And then again, they've got that piano. It's giving a nice melodic touch to this album, and it's a cool contrast with the more electronic nature of its tone.
Why you always push me away? Why you always push me away? Why you always push me away?
All right, well, that was track 6, Kiss. I really liked that ending there, how the last line was just his voice. There was no instrumentals or anything else going on. But that track, man, the percussion, again, was just what was really shining. So interesting to listen to. It had this really industrial kind of cold sound to it. But up next is track 7, which is Do What They Say.
Walk away when you're angry. There's nothing to gain.
Okay, this one is interesting. We got a lot of clangy sounds going on, a very industrial vibe to this one. This chorus is so big with its sound, and that one tone almost has an alarm-like sound to it. It's making the song like build up, and it's making all of this anticipation rise as you're listening to it. Well, that was track 7, Do What They Say. They kind of took all of that blistering energy and they added all of these, I don't want to say electronic, that's not exactly the right word, but kind of this muffledness to this album, and it's just covering up or pushing to the background that rawness. But up next is track 8, which is called Ever Be. What is that? There's like this twangy guitar tone going on here. Again, like, what am I listening to? Electronic industrial metal with a splash of dubstep? Well, that was track 8, Ever Be. I was just really focused on all of the different sounds going on with that one. They're kind of taking like a electronic industrial sound and fusing it with that more raw nu metal Korn sound that I really love from their earlier stuff. Just at times, I think that nu metal sound is kind of being overtaken almost by all of the polish and the production going on, and I kind of just want a little bit more power from them, if that makes sense. Moving on to track 9, we have Love and Luxury. That tone at the beginning in the background, it almost sounded like an arcade game sound effect or something. Alright, there was a little infusion of bass there. Track 9, Love and Luxury. Again, with the percussive elements. I keep bringing that up, but those were standing out. I like what they're doing on this album, but it just doesn't sound like a Korn album to me. And I would be curious to know what I would think of it if I had never heard any other Korn albums and this was my first experience of them as a band, because now I'm comparing it to their earlier stuff where they brought so much vulnerability and heaviness to their sound, and this album is not really doing that, but I enjoy it though. It's not like I don't like it. It's just very, very different. But I'm going to move on to track 10, which is called Innocent Bystander. Alright, this one has a little bit more of a harshness to it. It sounds a little bit heavier. It's like an explosion with that percussion that they're using. I love that really speedy sounding guitar and then these super airy cymbal heavy percussive elements going on. It's again just a really cool pairing of sounds. Alright, well that was track 10, Innocent Bystander. I think that is probably the most aggressively delivered one on this album so far. His vocals definitely brought a little bit more of that Korn-ness to them, if that makes sense. Just a little bit more of a like raw, unpolished sound. But I'm going to move on to track 11, which is called Killing. All of these electronic sounds, they're just weird. It's such a strange pairing of noises going on. Alright, this song just changed tone quite significantly. Okay, here we go. Now we've got a little bit more brutality going on.
Somebody told me once.
And now his vocals are just really deep and growly here. Well, that song certainly took quite a few twists and turns. That was track 11, Killing. It was almost like it started off really light and smooth sounding, and as the track progressed, it just got pulled down and down with its sound. But a lot of very unexpected change-ups throughout the course of that song. It had several different tones going on. Alright, moving on to track 12 now, we have Hushabye. Wow, such a muffled sound to this one. I like too how it has this soft muffled sound, and then right when his vocal does that transition into the chorus, it gets a lot clearer. It brings a lot more energy to it. And now there's like these really subtle whispered vocals. That was track 12, Hushabye. Very relaxing and kind of melodic in like a slightly sinister way on those verses, and very muffled, like I said. And then I loved that build up there with his vocal into the chorus, and then the chorus itself, it got a lot clearer, a little bit more impactful with its delivery. But moving on to the final track on Untitled, we have track 13, which is called I Will Protect You. Of course, we gotta have those bagpipes on a Korn album. There's these really bouncy sounds going on in the background that, again, remind me of an arcade game or something.
Please be aware that I am you. Hold you in my arms, hold you in my gaze.
You have this second set of vocals that sound really electronic and kind of creepy a little bit, like really faintly behind Jonathan Davis's main vocals here. There's so much going on right here. You got this crazy percussion and then some really distorted electronic industrial tones yet again. That was track 13, I Will Protect You. That one was a little bit crazy, just a ton of different sounds going on. Weirdly, it kind of went back and forth between this sinister tone on the verses, kind of this withdrawn, haunted quality, and then the chorus came in and it brought more energy to it and almost more life in a way. Well, that is going to do it for my reaction to the Untitled 8th studio album from the band Korn. There were elements of the sound of this album I really did enjoy, like the electronic stuff, and I really like the industrial tones that this album embraced too. I just kind of wanted a little bit more of that rawness and emotional vulnerability that they brought to their earlier music, and more of that harsh metal style from them too. I was kind of missing that, especially from Jonathan Davis's vocals. I really did enjoy track 2 though, starting over. The percussion on that one was so much fun. I loved the use of the cymbals. And track 6, Kiss, was actually a standout too, how they paired that really intense percussion with more of a softer side to their sound. But this whole album was just a wild fusion of stuff going on. I thoroughly enjoyed myself listening to it, and I am definitely looking forward to continuing my journey through Korn's albums and seeing how they're going to take this really experimental sound and kind of develop it into their later albums. I'm very, very curious to see how that is going to unfold. So definitely stay tuned for more reactions to Korn. And yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.